Hey guys, welcome back to another video and happy Monday. So, a lot of us have been feeling like there is some sort of bump in the market. Slightly more volumes than there were about 3 months ago, slightly higher rates on the load board, and some markets are actually doing so well that it makes us feel like things are back to normal. But many of us agree that this is just a temporary seasonal bump, not an actual turn in the market. And based on the quarter 2 results of the big carriers, we are correct. So let's chat about it. Ready? Let's go. Now, as strange as it sounds, one of the biggest issues in my company is morale. My business partners often feel isolated, and sometimes they feel like we are the only company, the only carrier in the United States that is struggling while everyone else is doing better than we are. Of course, they do understand that this is more of an emotional response. They understand that we are not the only ones, but this is relatively common to feel like you're alone in the struggle. So I am here to tell you, no, you are not. Everybody is struggling right now, and this is regardless of whether you're a small one-man or woman show or a large carrier, a mega carrier like JB Hunt, Martin Transport, or Knight-Swift. So over the past few days, big companies, the publicly traded carriers, have been releasing their numbers for quarter 2 of this year. And let me tell you, it's still a mess. There's also this talk about the operating ratio, and if you're not aware of what that is, the operating ratio measures how much of your gross income goes to cover your expenses. And it is an eye-opener when you start looking at the operating ratio for these mega carriers. So, Martin Transport, which had an operating ratio for the truckload sector of 98.8%, which means that only 1.2% was recorded as a net profit. Now, this is a decrease of 8.2% in net income year over year, and Executive Chairman Rudolph Martin said, and I quote, "The company's earnings were heavily pressured by the freight market's recessions, oversupply and weak demand, inflationary operating costs, and cumulative impact of freight rate reductions leading to freight network disruptions." But something Martin Transportation has been doing successfully for a year almost now is holding the line. As Martin says, "We have not agreed to rate reductions since last August." Freightwave states that because of this, their dedicated division saw a decrease in miles driven compared to a year ago, a decrease of 19%. And then, of course, we have JB Hunt that we all know and love. And according to their financials, they saw a decrease in operating income by 24% in their second quarter. Now, JB Hunt released a statement saying, "While experiencing some seasonal build in demand through the quarter, overall performance continued to be pressured by the soft freight market and its impact on over-the-road truck competition in the Eastern network." So after reading all of these, I decided, okay, these are big carriers. Let me see what's going on in our company quarter by quarter. And I decided to look at our operating ratio, which is something I calculate every single month. And in our case, our operating ratio was higher in quarter 2 than in quarter 1. In quarter 1, we saw an average operating ratio of 91%, which means 9% was recorded as a net profit. And this is including all our trucks. It's not just one owner operator. And then quarter 2, it was a complete mess for us. Our operating ratio went up to 98%, which means that only 2% was recorded as profit. And that tells me that our net income decreased by 7% from quarter 1 to quarter 2. However, I do have to mention that the data from quarter 2 might be skewed by the performance in June, where we saw immense losses due to unforeseen circumstances. So the question now is, how long is this going to last? How long do we have to be patient for? And when will this freight market actually start turning around? Not because of something temporary like seasonality or some weather event. Well, Craig Fuller of FreightWaves, he is actually very bullish. Now, I make it a point not to be political on my channel, but in this case, I'm going to quote what Craig Fuller stated. And he says, For many people, the presidential race is in many Americans' minds looking more and more like Donald Trump. And if you're running a supply chain, you're already thinking about what a Trump economy looks like. Anytime we've seen a change in how the government regulates or stimulates the economy, it shows up in freight. These impacts are going to be felt. It's going to change the availability of capacity because it's going to be harder to buy trucks, and that's going to be big. Now, again, it is my prerogative not to offer my own opinion when it comes to the topic of politics, but that means that a lot of people started guessing who I am rooting for. So to answer this question once and for all, above all else, I am rooting for our industry, smaller carriers, and of course, truck drivers. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, guys. How was your quarter two compared to quarter one? How was your July? Was it better than the month before in June? For us personally, it is better so far, but this has to do mostly with luck. And what do you think it will take to actually start seeing the market fundamentally change for the better, not because of seasonality or some other temporary phenomenon? I would love to hear your opinions. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me and watching today. I hope you have a fantastic and fruitful rest of your week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep learning. And I will see you in the next video.